Hi, I'm Laura Hahn Segundo Collins,
And I'm Joy Han Silva Malora.
and welcome to Hahnacity.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Happy Sunday. I'm
This is the
laughing
third
hard.
time we're starting this again,
Literally,
folks.
we're repeating this intro for the
Yeah,
third time because we're forgetting when we started
we're having
recording
a
and when
moment.
we're pausing. So
Yeah.
it's been a Sunday already. We'll just say that.
It
I'm a
has
little
been.
delay because I got the time zone mixed up. So I apologize. But you called me and asked if we could meet up at a certain time. And I was still out and about having pastries with my husband. And we were supposed to meet 5 minutes into my pastry. So,
It's
um, sorry,
all right.
but
No big deal. It really is
it
not a
is
big
what it
deal.
is.
Yeah. What pastries did you have? That's
Yeah.
more interesting and important to me.
Yes, it is so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually we go to this one spot in Redondo Beach and we decided to try a new spot. So I was going into it thinking that I was going to go to Sweet Wheats, which is the bakery that me and Marvin always go to. It's what we served in our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I get this delicious pear tartlet. That's my favorite thing. I had it for my birthday. It's my dessert of choice. But today we went off track and we went to a different bakery, also in Redondo Beach, called Tommy and Atticus. So the next time you come, we have to take you because they also do breakfast toast and bagels. So we did a bagel with all the works with the salmon, the capers, the red onion, the dill, and it was delicious. But we also got a morning bun that was covered in sugar, but also had orange peel, like citrus
Mm.
with it, which I don't necessarily always like orange in my
Marmalade.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't usually like sweet orange pastry dessert types of things, but it was phenomenal.
Hmm.
Like so good. So I highly recommend it. And there was a long line, so I was like, oh, it must be good if we're having to wait for our food. But it's
Yeah.
jam-packed on a Sunday morning, I'll tell you that.
How long do you have to wait in line? I can't stand waiting in
They
lines.
moved their line really well. So we were
Okay.
probably waiting for maybe like less than 10 minutes, which was, I think, pretty
It's not
good. It was
terrible.
probably
Yeah.
like 5, 6-ish
Like a
minutes.
grocery market style
And by the
wait.
time we got to the front, we probably were the ones that held up the line the most because we were like, what do we want?
Oh.
Apologies to everyone. Well, it was our first time. We didn't know it was good. So I had to ask all the questions,
Oh,
right?
fair enough. Fair enough.
Right? Like, what is
Mm-hmm.
good?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was debating by so many different choices. So we're going to have to go back and try others. But,
Nice.
anyways,
Sounds good. Sounds
yeah.
good.
And we're here.
And we're
And
here.
we're doing our last episode of the season.
Last episode on the season.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Season 4.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh. And we have decided what we're doing for season 5. So stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. So many more things. So many more people to be
Mm-hmm.
chatting with
Well, and
and
also
stories
because
to share.
you've made such amazing connections with the work that you're doing right now with your private practice and everything. Like you're meeting
And
some
same for
amazing human
you.
beings.
Like
I
really
know.
doing beautiful things at the Rise.
And we get to talk to
Yeah.
someone from Rice today
So
who
exciting.
I work with, and she's incredible because she's only 17. So we get to talk to my dear friend Savannah and her mom, who I have never met her mom, which is crazy. I've never met Tracy. I've only worked with Savannah, and it's been a little over a year now. And how this came about, Savannah's prepping for college right now. She's
Mm.
in the thick of the applications and writing essays and trying to figure out how to stand out with
Yeah.
a lot of amazing kids out there who needs to figure out what their niche is so early on and how do they stand out and how do they get recognition from schools that they want to go to. And this process is so different from when we were students and also athletes. And she was a high level gymnast who's no longer doing gymnastics, recently retired from her sport, but also having to juggle like what sets her apart, even though she's not this high performing athlete anymore, but also different from her peers at school, like we talked about, of being an extraordinary athlete and how do you re-enter, I don't want to say like an ordinary world, but in some sense it's kind of like that. But
Like
what
the
do you,
non-athlete world.
yeah, a non-athlete world, maybe that's better, a non-athlete world.
Hmm.
And how do you use your experience as an athlete to press forward and use your strengths to your advantage in getting colleges to accept you because she no longer has this extracurricular activity. But this sport took so much time from her exploring other things. And so she's just on such an interesting path, but also an incredible individual, one of those extraordinary humans that we know to be with athletes. They're just extraordinary humans. It's just unheard of what athletes can do. So we get to talk to her and hear her story.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to read her bio for everybody?
Yes, I can do that. Born and raised in California in a big sports driven family, Savannah grew up surrounded by commitment, competition, and the pursuit of excellence. Savannah and her mom proudly carried the family's gymnastics legacy. Savannah's 10-year competitive gymnastics career began at just 6 years old and quickly became a defining part of her life. Through every fall, injury, setback, and triumph, she developed a resilience, discipline, and a deep appreciation for the sport's complexity and beauty. The countless sticks, team victories, and moments of hard-earned pride continue to shape who she is today. Gymnastics has influenced not only Savannah's path, but the way she sees and approaches life. Her body, personality, and mindset have been molded by the sport's value, and she credits gymnastics with helping her become the person she is now. Savannah heads into her third season as a JO competitive coach and recreational coach at the Rise Gym. Savannah feels privileged to help guide and inspire the next generation of young athletes, passing on the same lessons, passion, and joy that shaped her own journey. Without further ado, Savannah and her mom, Tracy. Well, hello, Savannah and Tracy. We are so excited.
Welcome.
Yeah,
So
welcome.
excited.
Good morning.
So excited to have both of you on. Tracy, it's really nice to meet you. Before we start, I have to say something about Savannah that I haven't told her because there's just so much amazing qualities of who Savannah is. But also, Savannah works with a bunch of coaches that are twice her age, and her value and her voice is very loud in that space, that it is also respected. And to be 17 with that much poise and that much insight and confidence is very supernatural for her at 17. And it shows that she was raised from a very supernatural human being that taught her that. So it's such an honor to meet you, one. And I love Savannah. Savannah's an incredible human first,
Thank you.
but also a phenomenal coach. There are athletes that we work with that Savannah has advocated for that some of us weren't quite sure about. And she was right. She was right about a lot of those kids. So she's incredible to rise on who she is as a person, as a coach. And now she's in the process of getting ready to go to college. And there's so much to her story that I think is very unique, but I think it's unique in the sense that it hasn't been told very much. But I think there's a lot of people that are probably in a similar space that Savannah is. So I would love to start with first, Tracy. I know that you're a gymnast.
I was a gymnast. I competed, a long time ago.
Well, let's hear how you got into gymnastics and how that also translated with having a daughter and having her start the sport. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I was a gymnast from the age of 6 to 17. That was my life. I got good grades in school so I could do gymnastics. You know, the rule in our family was everybody played a sport and you had to keep your grades to play the sport. So that was our family's culture. We have soccer players mostly, and then I was the gymnast. I decided to retire when I went to college because I realized like I missed out on a lot of just the fun things of life because of being in gymnastics. Our schedule was that we were in the gym 7 hours a day. So going to gymnastics, I competed with the team for just a short time. And then I just said, like, I don't want to get up at 6 and then go to school and then come back to the gym. I want to enjoy my life. So I opted to retire when I went to college. And I think for me, I wanted Savannah to try every ball sport possible. And when she started kindergarten, she did soccer. And I think she ducked when the ball would come. She'd be like this. And they were like, she's going to be a soccer player. She couldn't really make a basket. And then she's tumbling all over my house, rolling here, rolling there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want her to be a gymnast. She actually started gymnastics. And one of the coaches at a prominent gym just said, she's never going to be a good gymnast. And I was kind of like, yes, okay, good. And so we kind of like left the dream until it was back again in kindergarten. And somebody said, hey, instead of having her be in daycare, can she go to gymnastics with friend in class. And I said, oh, sure. And I'm thinking like, okay, I won't go very far. Well, within a week, they were like, we want to put her on team. And I was like, no. And then the dream began, and she loved it. So it was in her kind of her body and soul. So at 6, she started.
Oh my goodness.
And I started holding my breath.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because I feel like this is the theme, Tracy, because I always say, like, if I had a daughter, I don't know if I would want her to do gymnastics.
Yeah.
Laura has a niece who was, I think she was like 3 at the time, Laura, when she was trying out.
Maybe a little bit old. Yeah, maybe like 4 or 5, actually.
And it was sort of the same thing. She went to a recreational class and the coach said, oh, she has some natural talent. She should go. And then we, like, both of us told her sister, no. Like, no.
Don't do it.
Yeah, please don't do it. And, I'm curious why that reaction for you. I mean, me and Laura know why that reaction for us, but what was your, like, process with
for
that?
me, it's just, I'm an adult and I've now had 24 surgeries. I'm recuperating from gymnastics because I think at the elite level, and I just had so many injuries, and it's just taxing. It was taxing on my body, and I think my spirit, like my mental game. And I missed out on just a lot of the fun parts of life. Like, I didn't go on family vacations. When everybody was off from school, I was in the gym. So I missed out on just parties and birthdays and graduations and the fun things of just life. And I feel like it's gotten a little better because I think gyms have realized we need to raise humans that know how to like live in the world, because the gym is not the only piece of the world. And it's such a mentally tough sport.
Yeah.
And I think just recovering from injuries was a lot. But most importantly, I just feel like I missed out on the part of being a human. And engaging in just regular real life, that when I went to college, I was kind of like, whoa, there's a whole nother world out here that I hadn't experienced. So I just wanted her to be really well-rounded, but you can't change what's in their heart.
Yeah.
And so I have to let her live her journey and work through it and see what's best for her. So
Yeah.
I went with it.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Great,
So-
Mama. And on that point, Savannah, can you walk us through, starting at 6, going from trying out some ball sports to what clicked for you with gymnastics?
Yeah, I actually don't remember much about the ball sports. I think they were so insignificant or scary. I just blocked those out. But I remember starting team at 6, and I started level 3, and I remember it being a lot of like 3rd graders or like even 4th graders. And so it was definitely an interesting dynamic. It was fun. Like, I was excited. I felt really important to be able to be on that team, competing level 3. And I just remember having fun, loving learning the sport. And then quickly I progressed to level 4 the next year. And then I did 5 and 6 and 7, and I just kept going up the ranks. And it was interesting to see my teammates grow alongside me, because I was at one point, like in elementary school, competing with middle schoolers or like competing with high schoolers. So I just progressed alongside them, but I had a lot of fun learning those compulsory levels for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that big sister element is
Yeah.
very similar to Laura. Laura was very young when she started and was with a group that was an older sister sort of environment. And I think that the unique thing about gymnastics that is not really said, I think, with other sports, is you're putting in a serious amount of hours at a very young age. Like, you're committing to, even in level 3, like our youngest level 3 athletes are there for 12 hours and they're 6 years old. And that's really on a lower scale than most other gyms that are competitive. When you think about a ball sport like soccer and basketball and all those things, you're only really putting in a couple hours in comparison to what you're putting into the gym. So I understand, Tracy, as a parent, there's a lot of seeing a young child put in those hours, letting them go to bed a little bit later because you can't start till a certain time. And it's a huge commitment. We always talk about it's a family buy-in, because it's not just the athlete that is committing to this journey. It's also the families, the parents, Savannah, you're a sibling, or like all those things. And it affects the family dynamics. You're taking time away from your parents. You're taking time away from dinner time. Tracy even mentioned vacation. Savannah, what was your gymnastics hopes at the time when you were 6? Was it just about having fun? And then you're going pretty quickly into higher level gymnastics. Was there a very concrete, this is my dream, this is my goal, this is my primary focus, I'm going to live, eat, breathe gymnastics?
Definitely that last part, love, eat, breathe gymnastics. It was definitely my whole life. I feel like at one point, I wanted to go to the Olympics, and then I was stuck on like the college dream for most of my career. And then that just started to fade at a point. But it was really just being present in gymnastics. Like I just loved doing the sport. I didn't really focus too much on what I wanted to do with the sport. It was just doing it. I just wanted to be in the gym.
Yeah. There's two parts. What did you love about gymnastics at the time?
I think I loved just going through the motions and learning how to do new things with my body. Like it was so fun to learn a new skill, but then be able to perfect that skill and just do it again and again and again and know that, okay, I have that skill. It's part of me now. And I can go to the gym, I can visualize it wherever I am, and then I can do it. Like that was just my favorite part, being able to add skills like to me. Who I was.
That mastery development mindset.
Yeah.
And then you're saying that then it started to fade. Can you walk us through that part of your life?
Yeah, I think after COVID, because I didn't really compete for a bit, COVID was when I was doing level 9, and then I competed. I did level 9 all through middle school, but then after COVID, I then competed again level 9, and then I didn't feel that competitive drive really anymore. I never was really that competitive of a person, I would say, but I didn't see myself really doing it in college. I couldn't really envision myself doing it then. Like I had hopes to do it, but when I wasn't able to envision myself like at a college, at a specific college, that just started to get harder to hold on to that dream.
Well, and you shared with me you had a pretty significant injury. Can you walk us through what happened and, share what you're comfortable with? But not only did you have this injury, you had to have a comeback after this injury as well. So there's so much to this story that's really interesting, because you were still pretty much in the thick of it. Like you were still training at level 10, I believe you were at this time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my freshman year, I think. Yes. And then I was doing a round off 1.5 front on floor, which I'd done like a million times. I competed it for multiple seasons in level 8 and 9. And it was just one of those days where I was just training and I was just struggling to complete the skill. And I was tired and it was only me on floor. All of my teammates had finished their tumbling passes and they were on a whole different level of floor because at my last gym, our floors were on different levels. So it was just me on the floor training by myself. And I had just done so many turns. And this one turn, I landed my round off 1.5 short. So I landed too short and then I punched basically on a hyperextended knee and I broke my tibia. And it was definitely not fun. It was very surreal. I just kind of sat there and my knee was bent and I could not move at all. I had to like call my coach because she was on the level above. And I was like, Haley, I can't get up. So it was definitely crazy. And then I just remember going to the hospital and it was just very traumatic. Like my leg was huge. I was very concerned about school the next day. I was so concerned about emailing all my teachers and that was definitely a very hard part of it, being in the hospital and like, okay, what do I do now? It's the middle of the week. So it was a very long process. I was in a full leg cast for 6 weeks. They had to put me under to reset it, and then it was reset wrong, so I had to get it set again.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rough. And then, yeah, so on crutches, full leg cast, and then lots of PT. I'd been doing PT my whole life, so that wasn't anything new. It was difficult because my gym, it's about an hour away from where I live. So going all the way out there just to condition and watch the girls, it was hard for that period of time. But I eventually did get back to full strength and I worked really hard to get all my skills back, get all my routines back. And it was just before the next season, the next competition season. I had everything set to compete. I had gotten to my full strength, my full flexibility. And then I just decided like, I made it. Like I came back from this and I think I'm done. I feel like I'm not coming to practice with a purpose anymore. And that was kind of where I transitioned mentally and kind of lost that love for the sport because I was coming to practice and initially it was, okay, I need to get back my skills. Like I have a long road ahead of me. And then when I did that and when I was at this point where I was going to start a new season, I just didn't feel that anymore. I didn't have a drive. and that it didn't seem right for me to keep pushing without this drive or without this love in me. And that's when I decided, that's when I came to my mom. I'm sure my mom has a good story about this, but I came to my mom that night and I told her and I said, I'm ready to retire.
It's crazy, Savannah, because I think about my journey with when I was injured, going to my parents. I was very afraid to tell my parents. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, obviously, but I wanted to know, was it easy to go to mom and say, I think I'm done? Was it easy to go to your coaches and say, I think I'm done?
Coaches, definitely not. So I knew I needed my mom to help me through that, to help me communicate that to them because they don't know me as well as she does. And I know that if I told my mom how I was feeling, she would be able to help me express that. But my mom has always been there for me. She's said multiple times, like, if you're not happy, we're done. We're not doing it anymore. And I've heard that time and time again. And it's always been, no, I'm happy. It's a rough day. It's a rough month. Like, I don't want to do it right now, but I know it's just a rough day. So I knew in the back of my mind that she would support me no matter what. And it was definitely more difficult to like start the conversation because it was just so out of the blue. There was nothing wrong. It was so random. So it was harder for me to come to her with it just so randomly on another night where I had homework to do and just normal things. So I was scared in that sense, but no part of me didn't think that she was going to support my decision. So that was comforting to know in the back of my mind.
Kick ass, mama.
Oh yeah.
What was it like for you to hear it? Tell us what you're saying.
I was driving like she said, it was an hour away. So I was driving from work because I was on pickup. So I would drive from LA to Orange County, deep Orange County, Lake Forest is where we'd have to go. So I got a call when I was riding to the gym and they were like, hey, it was
when I got injured.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like one of my friends was like, hey, are you coming to the gym? And I was like, I'm going to be there soon. And then she's like, well, you might want to come faster than soon. And I was like, what? And so when I got there, I was like, oh yeah, her leg's broken. And she was like, how do you know my leg's broken? I'm like, I was in it long enough to know your leg's broken. And I think the thing that she kind of glossed over was the comeback was hard because she was in the cast for about 8 weeks, but luckily her coaches got her back in the gym right away. And although it was, you're going back you can only do conditioning. And for a while it was, you couldn't even do that. I think just being back in the gym, because that camaraderie is super important. You know, her friends at her gym, they're like her family. I mean, they spend actually probably more time than I do with her. So I think getting back with her friends and just being part of the group. I mean, I think you started like kind of coaching your friends even on some of their tricks because she could sit at the bar and be like, no, you got to get your feet over, so being part of the gym is important. But the other thing is she would tell me like, I'm not afraid to do the trick. I'm not afraid to do that 1.5. And I was like, I think there's some stuff you have to unpack. So we did back up and do like a little mindset coaching. We worked with Robert Andrews, who's Simone Biles' former coach, mindset coach. And she worked with him for a couple of months on just unpacking her injury and some of the trauma, because I think they don't realize from the injuries how much trauma there is and fear. And for me, it was like, I want you to get I want your skills all back. My rule for her was your skills have to all be back before you make any decision about anything. Before you opt out of this, it can't be a mindset decision. It has to be a heart decision. Like in my heart, I am done, not in my mind, I can't do it, because we have to be able to do hard things and overcome injuries and overcome obstacles. So for me, it was, let's get your mindset right. Let's get your skills back. And then you can make any decision you want. When they told me it happened to her, I was like, gosh, darn it. I should have just put a pause and had her stay home, because the week before she was doing a front tuck on the beam and she landed on her toe and tore her big toe, the whole nail off. So she was already compensating and doing things. And I think she was tired just getting back. So in hindsight, as a mom, I wish I would have done lots of different things. But most importantly was like, hey, let's get you back. Let's get you right. So when she told me on the way home, it was really out of the blue. We were driving. I remember we were driving and she said, I need to tell you something. And I thought like, what is she going to tell me? And then she said, I think I'm done with gymnastics. And I said, oh, okay. Why are you done with gymnastics? She's like, I just don't love it anymore. I love watching the sport. I love doing things, but I don't like the idea of going back to compete. My heart's not in it anymore. And I said, okay, then let's quit. Let's, and I think I said retire, let's retire. And our rule was always in our family was, if you quit a sport or if you retire from a sport, you found another sport. And she was like, wait, do I have to do another sport? And I was like, no, I can't do another sport. I said, but since you're, I was like, I can't do another sport. It was just too much. I said, but since you don't want to do another sport, what about like coaching? And she was luckily, she was like, yeah, I mean, I still love gymnastics. I don't want to be doing it. Like, I don't want to do it to compete. I don't want to do it to go to college, but I'm open to coaching. And so that's when I called Courtney and I said, hey, Savannah is thinking of retiring, but would you possibly have any openings for her to maybe come coach? So I thought maybe this is an avenue. And in my back of my mind, I thought, maybe she'll keep her love for gymnastics and she'll start just kind of training and get
You made me
back.
keep all my Leos.
I did. She wanted to give all her leotards away. And I was like, no, we're just going to keep them. And she's like, why? I'm not doing it again.
Savannah, keeping them is great. Yeah. The
I
sentimental
said, maybe
value.
you'll change your mind. You'll fall in love with it again. Or who knows what's going to happen. So yep, we're keeping all the grips, everything.
So I had a flood at my parents' place where I lost my gymnastics equipment, my grip bag, my competition Leos, all of that stuff. And when we were promoting our podcast, it was cool because Laura had her journals from when she was 10 years old that we posted on our page. But she also had her very first USA gymnastics leotard where she competed in Tokyo with all these memorabilia and her USA jacket when she first represented the country. She was like, I still have that. And now she does these talks where she pulls out her leotard and everybody sees how small she was at 12 years old. Where it looks like it fits a 6-year-old. But yeah, those pieces that you're just like, later on, you're going to look back and you're going to be so grateful that you kept, your first competition in Leo, like how proud you probably were when you made it to the team. And I think there is a lot of great sentiment in keeping those things. So, and something to be proud of, something to be really proud of,
And not for nothing, to be proud of that amazing conversation you had in the car. I mean, there are so many parents and young folks that they're just sitting there with all their feelings and that fear of being able to share. But Tracy, you have nurtured and curated trust and love and unconditional love. And that, Savannah, you being able to say to your mom, just on a ride home from the gym, to be so open and honest and transparent, no matter how hard it is, because you didn't come to that decision like, oh, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And then tomorrow I'm going to, do something differently. Like, it sounds like you have had that conversation over time, like get all your skills back and then make a decision. I mean, the messaging underneath all of this, which I think is so cool as a parent and as just putting myself back into like my 11, 12, 13. For me, it was diving. I did not want to do diving when I look back at it, but I did it because I wanted to please my family. I could just be instantly good at it because most gymnasts are once you just change which way you land. But my heart wasn't in it. I could not bring myself to say that to our family. So to hear that, there's so much healing in just hearing your story. So thank you so much for sharing that moment with us right now, because I think more people need to hear that it is okay to say, I'm good. I'm good. I've had a great run. Thank you so much, sport, for what you've done for me, what I've learned. And we can all now put the leotards down in a box to save, not put it away, but and then come back to it and just know that you can come back to it with fondness. And to have this, just watching you two talk about it right now, and it's said with such confidence and coziness and comfort, like, man, I wish that would be for most young athletes who come to that point where like, maybe I don't really want to do it anymore. And it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean that it wasn't worth it, that it was, I think a lot of parents will be like, oh, but I put all this investment into it, but it's not like a house or a car. It's a person.
Yeah.
And we put this money into our kids because we want them to have fulfilling experiences and grow as a human being. And that's exactly what you did, Tracy. And that's really cool to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. I love what you said though, because we're putting this into these humans, right? We're putting I think gymnastics has done so many things for Savannah, whether it's like just managing a schedule or having goals or learning how to have hard conversations. She's an amazing human on her own. Like, that's just who she is. I got lucky in that sense. But I think the skills that gymnastics taught her will really help her in the future. I mean, she's resilient. She can have hard conversations, do challenging things, overcome obstacles. And those are the skills we take into life and help us be successful adults. So that's my goal. But ultimately, it's what makes you happy. because if you're not happy, what is the point? Happiness
Right.
is so important. If you can't make other people happy in what you do, like share your gift. And I think that was my message to Savannah. Go do something that brings you joy, but also brings joy into somebody else's life. And so I feel like I hope that's what she does for the gymnasts that she coaches. I tell her all the time, these are other people's kids. So they're other people's kids, and those words you say and the way you look at the kids and how you treat them will forever be remembered, right? So
Yeah.
that's important to
Yeah.
to
And
her.
what kind of impact you want to be, And so it's one of those things you can either be a really positive impact on somebody, especially that impressionable. And I don't know, Savannah, it's like really interesting. This is really cool because the athletes that we've interviewed have been athletes of the past. Like this is like the generation before you. And so I always say, Tracy, me and Laura always say, like, maybe we're raising a different generation and this is not going to happen again to other athletes. It's very evident that Savannah's story is completely different from stories that we've been adhered to. Like, this is not a common story until recently of this nurturing aspect, this ability to, like Laura said, go to mom in a safe space and say, I'm done with sport, feel confident to make those decisions on her own and not be influenced by anything but her own decision, her own heart. This is very unique in that sense. And so this is really healing for not only, I hope, you guys, but for me and Laura to know that there has been progress here. I guess what my question too in this is, were your coaches, like, how was that conversation? You had mom by your side, which I think is an incredible thing to have. But how was that conversation when you went to your coaches after coming back from all your skills, getting ready for a season? It sounded like you were ready to compete and do well, and then tell your coaches, like, hey, by the way, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, that felt impossible.
Mm.
Um, it was so hard because we had our head coach in it, and he's just an amazing person. He doesn't coach us on a daily basis, but he's always in the gym, he's always there. So it was so hard because it was just so out of the blue to them, and especially to my teammates. It was just so random, a random day. So I knew that I would need help with that conversation, but I think that they could see that I wasn't happy, and that was their only focus. They
Mm.
accepted that it just wasn't working for me right now, and they were just very receptive. They said I could come back whenever if I had doubts or anything, like I was able to come train or whatever I wanted. And it made me feel so supported in that decision, and just kind of knowing that I still have them there in my corner. Like when I go to meets, like I still see them and I can still feel the love and support from them. And so I think it was a great conversation. It was so hard to have, but I was definitely freaking out before we went and talked to them about it. But they just hugged me and they said, as long as you're happy, we support you.
That is really beautiful.
Yeah.
So, on that note, we're closing a chapter on gymnastics as the gymnast, but now you've opened a new chapter into coaching. Can you tell us about your coaching journey now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love our girls. It's been just amazing to see how, for me, how much my love of gymnastics has grown through coaching because I love the sport. I love doing it. And then when I stopped kind of love competing it and going and doing it every day, going to practice and transitioned that into a love of watching other girls do it and teaching someone how to do it, it's just my love has evolved so much. And it's amazing the girls that we have. They are so fun, and they have really taught me the spontaneity of gymnastics and the creative side because as a competitive gymnast, I didn't really have that. I was so focused, I was very diligent and overthought every single situation. And the kids we have are just so silly and they're very open-minded. And so that's really helped me, I feel, learn more about the sport and honestly learn better how to teach them. So I'm kind of learning from them, and I hope that they learn from me. It is very fun to navigate their worlds and intertwine ours. But my ultimate goal as a coach is just to guide them to be amazing humans, but just to really learn about themselves also and use gymnastics to learn about themselves. I really hope that through every practice, they're finding meaning. There should be meaning in the skills that they're doing. There should be meaning in the moments where they're waiting on the sidelines. So I try to remind them that they're not just here at practice just to be here and flip around. Like there's purpose in everything that they do. And it's just beautiful to come to gym. I love going to practice every day. As a gymnast, there are a lot of days where I didn't love going to practice. And now I love it. I love seeing all the girls. And when there's girls missing, I'm confused because it's so fun for me when they're all there. And it's just
You and me both. I'm confused why they're not there sometimes too.
Is that an option? Are they not allowed to come? I'm sorry, are there rules about that? Gotta be at gym every day.
No, not at all.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's really great, Savannah. That actually, you said something that I thought was really insightful for me to remember too as a coach. You're right. There has to be meaning in your moments, and it's different for every child. That's like the amazing thing about your story is that it was like once you didn't have a purpose, it was really hard to move forward. So that makes a lot of sense that that's an important thing that you communicate to your athletes. Like, what is your purpose? What is your meaning of doing this? Because firsthand, when you don't have purpose, it's really hard to continue and put in effort. You had written on your form that you wanted to talk about transition outside of the sport one, but also the most interesting question that you put on that I told Laura, I was like, wow, this is a really good question. Savannah, you should also interview, by the way. There's a lot of like things that you are talented in, but you said, what is the most important thing that you are learning in gymnastics, or what is like your most important purpose in gymnastics? So I want to throw that at you. Is there a different purpose with coaching that it was when you were an athlete? What was the most important thing for you?
When I was an athlete, the most important thing was that mastery, and just kind of repetition. And it was more about learning how to perfect something. And that I got stuck on that a lot. And I honestly found that it didn't really help me. And it was more of a challenge. Mastery was supposed to help me with the sport. And it it kind of made me hate the sport. Like when I was working against myself to be perfect, and that's where I got into a lot of overthinking, and that got me into a lot of trouble. And so, as a coach, the main message is that you need to learn from the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whether that's like you're just learning you're learning how to fall or you're learning how to succeed, I really want to teach the girls that you need to learn from your body, what you're doing, how you're interacting, and come away from each practice with something new, whether that's a new skill or whether that's something new about yourself or your mindset. It's constant learning. I didn't really feel that importance when I was an athlete. It wasn't about learning about myself or learning about how I navigate situations. It was just about perfecting skills. And that didn't really get me anywhere other than, I mean, it got me a couple medals, a couple titles, but that's not the focus. That's not what I was ever concerned about. And that's not what I carry with me now.
Yeah. Well, and also with the sport that we're in, we're being judged out of perfection. So it
Yeah.
feels like the antithesis of what we're being judged, you know? And so naturally, this is what I've learned in my adulthood, obviously. And, you know, Tracy, you're talking about working with a mental health coach that Savannah got into a space of not really like thinking she's okay out of injury. Well, that was me, you know, 30 years of not processing my gymnastics journey and not realizing that this is a huge part of who I am and all the stuff that you go through as an athlete. And I didn't have nurturing coaches, Savannah. I did not have coaches. You're going to have to hold my hand if I run into my old coach because he still coaches, and I would probably run away the other way. So the fact that you have the ability to go to your coaches and speak with fondness and say they are still in my support, they still want me to win. I don't have that. I have a coach that probably would see me and think I'm a failure. So I think that's really unique about your story that is healing for me to hear. I think that there's so many beautiful gems here that I think is unique. I lost my train of thought, so I'm sorry. I'm like rambling. It's going to get there.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
You're processing it all, right?
I'm
Like,
processing it
I
all.
think so.
Yeah.
I think
It's
so.
There's just so much there. And I think that you're telling me stuff that I wish I had, but I'm also, there's so much to your story that I think for me, it was like I was hoping gymnastics would go this way, you know, because I did fall out of love for the sport. I never thought I would go back to gymnastics. I took almost 20-year-old break. I went straight into coaching after I retired from sport too. So kind of like your mom, like at 15, I had retired and it was like, what do I do next? And I kind of fell naturally into coaching because I think that's natural what gymnasts do. And then I took 18 years off because of all that trauma and not really going through that process. And so there's so much that you're saying that still is healing. And I didn't know if gymnastics could be this. And I think coming to Rise, Courtney is the owner of Rise that you had mentioned earlier. I would not have gone back to coaching had I not believed in Courtney's mission. And so I will say that. And so this whole idea of whole person, this is not just like next human being in line, you're replaceable type of mentality, that there's this relationship that you've developed. There's so much hope in that. And I'm really honored to be alongside with you on that journey too, of continuing that generation of athletes, because this is what we're producing. We're producing not only amazing athlete, but amazing rock star humans who are going to go and exit their sport, but also do amazing things in life. And so you are exceptional because you are in this position now. You're not an athlete going into college. So it's not like you're trying to get a scholarship. You're competing against other peers who are doing other things, extracurricular things, but you're like in this like subcategory that I was telling you about when I was like, your story is really unique because you have this gymnastics background that has created this extraordinary superstar human that is not the same as your peers at school. Like you are uniquely different. And it's so interesting because I don't share this with you, Savannah, but we talk about your age because we're so surprised at 17. You were a couple years older than some of our athletes, but far beyond your maturity because of the tools that not only that you've learned in sport, but who you are as a person. This is uniquely you. It's not just gymnastics taught you this. You are an exceptional person beyond the sport. And now you're going into college and you are going through this application process. You're trying to figure out, like, this is what you learn when you have to write an essay about yourself, because you're kind of selling yourself.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah.
how do I make my story unique? How do I make my story different? But I think the thing that you have that most 17-year-olds don't know is that you have a sense of self. So me at 45, I do not think that that came at 17. It didn't even come at 37. Like, I mean, it's really unique that you have a strong sense of self. You really do hear your inner voice. That is something unique about who you are. And you're going through this process. And I want to ask how it's going. Right? How is it going? How is this process? And tell us what this is for you right now, because you are in your last year of high school. And I'm sad because I want you to get everything that you want, but I also am sad that we're going to probably have a departure soon after season. And I'm really sad that we're not going to be coaching together for hopefully a little bit. I hope in the summer you'll come and join us. But yeah, tell us about this process too.
Yeah, well, the college application process is just insane. Combined with first semester senior year, it's been a lot. And lots of writing, lots of just researching, but yeah, lots of selling myself and kind of having to dive into these past chapters of my life. But I'm so excited for college. And my goal is just to find a college that accepts me, but also pushes me and teaches me more. I'm glad that I was able to depart from gymnastics and kind of that scholarship route, because I don't think I would have found maybe a college as catered to what I'm looking for. So going through and filling out all these applications, I'm applying for a major in sociology. And my purpose behind that is I just want to continue to learn more about myself and about the people I'm with and how our world works before I go and begin a real career. Because I think I have learned a lot about myself in the last 17 years, but I have so much more to learn. So I'm really excited wherever I end up just to be learning about people and learning through sociology and seeing where that takes me. So that's where I'm at. I know my mom has a different side with this college process because it's been so much on us, but it's been very fun. We're done now. We finished all my applications last week.
Congratulations.
Yay,
That's great.
Yes.
congratulations.
We hit submit on Monday at 10, I think it was. After she got home from gym, we hit submit. So I said, oh my gosh, it's going to be the first week in, I don't know, like 4 months where we're not working on college applications.
Amazing.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's interesting because I think it was therapeutic writing all these essays as much as it's been hard, Savannah is very humble. She doesn't like to sell herself. She thinks she's like every other teenager. And I was like, no, you like when we start to put all this on paper, you can see that you are different. Like 17-year-olds don't have a job and all these AP classes and drive an hour to school and hour home. And I said, you are doing amazing things. You're doing things that adults do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's true.
and she pushes herself and puts all this pressure on herself. It's definitely not me. I'm like, no, take a day off. Don't do this. But she does have, she is a perfectionist. I sometimes call it the plague of perfectionism. Like she'll be like, well, I have to get an A and I'm like, no, get a C. You'll be okay, And I used to tell her all the time in gymnastics, like, I don't care if you don't get a 9. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I just, for me, I think just do and be your best. Like that's all that I ask. I don't care if it's gymnastics or school or like how you are as a friend or how you are as a coach. But I think, do and be your best and find your fun, find your happiness, which I think is super important. I hope that she gives that message to her kids. I know something she wouldn't, I think she gets just as much from coaching as the kid, hopefully as the kids get from her. But like she'll come home and it's so cute. Sometimes she's like, "Oh my God, I got the best hug today." So anyone who doesn't know my kid, like she would hug and cuddle all day long if she could. But she's like, the kids just give me the best hugs and it just feeds my soul. And I love being at the gym. And so I think sometimes when we're in gymnastics, it is so focused on perfectionism and rules, and that hug can go a long way. I think both ways, just showing people that you care about them as a human, because that's first and foremost. Because you can't be successful as a gymnast if your soul isn't fed as a human and you're not happy coming into the gym, because then you bring all of the other stuff with you. So we keep working on it, right? We keep working on it, but we made progress, so we can we're breathing this weekend.
Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think actually that is probably a perfect place to pause and just take a moment. First of all, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. The theme I feel like from all of this is that you don't necessarily get in most of the interviews that we have is not just one person or one athlete ability to think and to take in consideration oneself. Like there's so much pressure for athletes to do the work on themselves. Everything, every sports psychology, everything is geared towards athlete, be different, do this, do that. But I think what we're seeing here is the importance of the athlete is surrounded by a community. And the community around you, Savannah, is this incredible mom and family and friends and coaches who are like, listen to yourself, and we honor all the changes that you go through, whether it's my goal is to keep going with gymnastics or my goal is to come out of gymnastics because I'm ready to. This is probably the most perfect example of why this works so well. Is that this is the ultimate story of whole person care, self-compassion, and how powerful and empowering it is, especially as women and women athletes. So thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation today, and it's just really cool to watch you two go back and forth. And so excited for your future. You're going to kill it. You've been killing it, Savannah. You're going to keep on killing it. This is super amazing. We're all here for it. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We end every episode with a discuss question. Would you like to play?
Sure.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah, great. So basically, we're going to say like a question or a statement or something. We're going to say discuss, and then everybody answers. And what's really cool is because we're all gymnasts in the room, everyone can answer. So this is going to be really cool. Joy, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. It was interesting, you guys. There's no wrong answer. It's literally you have an answer. We don't debate it. It's your answer, but we geared it towards gymnastics. And so we've never done a discuss question that was specific. We did an interview with a bunch of gymnasts actually like a couple weeks ago, and they had listened to our first episode and they wanted to do like category of gymnastics questions that we came up with, but yours is very unique. We haven't done this one yet. So our question is, what is your favorite gymnastics skill?
Discuss.
Ooh.
You go first.
So mine to watch, because I'm a clarifying question, to watch or do?
To do.
Oh, to do. I loved tumbling and I liked doing, I could do a round off, back handspring, triple twist. So I never competed it, but that was my, like, I was a twister. So I loved
Yes,
twisting.
Tracy.
Yes,
Okay.
I was a twister. So that was
Damn,
my
that's
favorite.
awesome.
That's phenomenal.
Wow.
That's
Mine
incredible.
is opposite that.
We're opposites.
No tumbling. I like twisting with my hands. So any pirouettes. I loved blindfolds, blinds. Those have always been my favorite.
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
incredible.
You,
Laura?
Joy?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You go.
there you go.
can go. Oh. All right. It's so funny because bars was probably my least favorite event. It took me forever to get bars because I started a little late, and I think bars is the event that like you can't hide technique. But my favorite skill, I was good at releases, and so my favorite skill was a ginger. That was the thing where I felt like I was flying in the air. I knew control, I knew space, I knew all those things, and I felt like I could do that skill with a little bit of flair, and it was like the skill that I could do well. So yeah, that was probably mine.
Cool. And my favorite was a skill that I made up on beam, which was a front handspring to like a split jump with the back knee bent that went straight into a back tuck where I landed on one knee like a
Oh,
yeah.
That's a fun series.
That was a fun series when I was very proud of that.
Wow.
Cool.
Gymnast for
right.
life.
Yes. Life. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, we're like, pirouettes and triple twists.
Triple falls.
And, yeah. I mean, who talks like this except for gymnasts? Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, you guys, for being. You guys are actually our season finale, so thank you so much for being on our last episode. And we have to have you back, Savannah, because you're going to be doing some amazing things. And I don't think coaching is done with you because you are phenomenal at it. So I feel like there's more to that story too. But it was such a delight to hear your story. And I know that there's going to be more to this story. So much love to you, much success, and I will see you on Monday, tomorrow.
Sure.
But thank you,
so
Tracy,
much.
for also
Amazing.
joining us.
Yes, it was nice to meet you. I hear so much about you at the gym, and just I appreciate all your support and of Savannah and just helping her grow as a person. It takes a tribe. So
yeah, and she's an incredible person. So she also is incredibly important to me and helps me grow and all those things too, and my support. We lean on each other as coaches as well, and so it's not just the athletes. Coaches need that too. So we need a community, and Savannah's definitely a part of that. So
thank you. I'm so proud of her, and good luck to you all in the season. I'll be there to cheer on at least one meet.
thank you so much.
That's right.
All right, ladies. Well, much love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok.
Share and follow us on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. Help us out and leave a 5-star review. Thanks.